He's only 25 years young, born and raised in a dusty township of Mabopane, close to Pretoria. His humble setting was a complete contrast to what the future would thrust his way. Going to space was not one of them. Mandla Maseko, a college dropout because of hardships and also a DJ, will explain how he beat millions of other international contenders for this opportunity to fly into orbit. Mandla, welcome to SaharaTV.
Thank you, Fungai, and thank you for having me on SaharaTV, sir.
You're welcome, you're welcome. Now, congratulations also, because I know that you have just returned from Cape Town. You are the president of South Africa's special guest during the State of the Union address.
State of the Nation address. Yes, sir. I just came back now. I landed 20, 30 minutes ago. So it's been a hectic, busy day.
Yeah, we appreciate that you took your time before you even took a rest to speak to us. But I know that many, many other people would want to hear how a kid from Mabopane in Pretoria ended being the guy flying to space. I mean, being one of the 23 people selected out of millions of entries in the world. How did this happen? Where did you see this advert to respond, for you to respond?
All right. It all began when I had the radio running, the competition running on radio, and they requested us listeners to send pictures of ourselves jumping from anywhere. So I thought of jumping from off top of the wall, and a friend of mine captured me while I was on mid-air, and I emailed it to that show. They called me back, and I made it to the top 30 that was going to the local space camp that was held here in South Africa at Free State, Paris.
Okay, it's unfortunate that you didn't show us the picture of you jumping. It's either you're a good jumper and flyer, or your friend is a very excellent photographer. I don't know, but I'm sure we'll be able to find that picture and see for ourselves. But after you were picked, what happened? How did they respond to you?
All right, we had to go through challenges. I had to go through two space camp. The first one was the local space camp, as I mentioned. We had to do 3 challenges, of which of them 2 were compulsory. Right. We did 10,000 feet skydiving above Earth. We had to do again what we call the vomit comet. And the challenges there, I nailed them and completed them successfully. I was narrowed into the top 6. Then from the top 6, we did what we call the plane stand. And I made it to the top 3 that was leaving for the global space camp. Came the 1st of December last year, 2013. We left for the global space camp that was held at Orlando, Florida, USA. There we had to do challenges, vigorous challenges, flight simulation, zero-G flight, you name them. And at the end of it all, we had to write a test. So
this was an aptitude test, right?
Yes, we had to write an aptitude test. And again, throughout, like Buzz Aldrin, the second man to ever walk on the moon, he was looking for 3 qualities, which bravery, enthusiasm, and teamwork.
Right.
So I can safely say out of 109 people that were at the global space camp, I made it to the top 23 people that will be launching into space in the year 2015.
Okay. Now, out of all those 23, I believe 3 of you are all from South Africa, and you actually represent the rainbow. Because I know there's an Indian guy, there's also a white guy, Caucasian, and yourself, which represents South Africa most in the broader part.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. As I mentioned, we were at the local space camp. We were chosen 3 of us to go at the global space camp, which was me, Mandla Maseko, the second guy, which was Harun Osman, which is Indian, and there was a white guy also, which is Dean Roden. And for us, it wasn't about the competition basically. It was about us taking the South African flag to new heights. Hence
Right,
why we had the Facebook page called South Africans in Space hyphen Team SA.
great.
Now, when we go to the global space camp, only one of us was guaranteed a seat.
Right.
So I was the one who won that seat in the Linux Mark II that will be going to space. Dean and Harun won't be going to space. I will be the only one who's going to space.
Oh, wow. Congratulations again. Now, you'll be the
Thank
first black South African to go into space. Before that, there was also a South African who has a very appropriate name. His name was Mark Shuttleworth. Now, Mark
Yes,
Shuttleworth
sir.
is a entrepreneur, a philanthropist, and a very rich guy. He managed to pay 12 million euros when he flew into space some years ago. But now, how do you feel as this kid from Pretoria, 25 years old and black, from the same country where the first black president was Nelson Mandela? How do you feel to be amongst those going down in history?
You know, when I think of my name being resonated along the lines of the first people that did great things, as you mentioned, the first black president, which is Nelson Mandela, the first person into space from South Africa, which was Mark Shuttleworth. And to think that they will say the first black South African in space, Mandla Maseko, the thought on its own, it's amazing, wow. Like I feel that it's a huge title,
Mm-hmm.
and damn, wow, yeah, I'm happy. I'm excited for that title. It's really an honor and a privilege for me to be resonated in the same line as them.
Okay, and I know that it's probably very difficult for you to sleep and wake up and still, say that this is you, because the experience of having to go there will be much, much greater than the experience of waiting to go there. But now tell us about your family. You grew up in this very humble settings, humble beginnings, and your father
Yes.
was somebody who was poor to a point that at 16 he got his first pair of shoes, but he managed to keep a roof above your head and feed your siblings. How did that shape you as a human being?
They say charity begins at home, and my mom and my dad have actually lived up to those words. They brought us up with that care and love, and it's a kind of family whereby you don't need much as long as you have love, and then
Right.
that's it. The rest is history. My dad has wow. I don't remember ever going to bed without having eaten or without having a roof over my head.
Right.
And my mom has always been there every time I wanted to give up. She would be like, no, son, something huge is coming your way, so stay strong. So both my parents have been that strength, that pillar of strength in my life.
Okay. So after you go and come back, what is your future going to be like? I know that you failed to complete your civic engineering degree because you had to drop out because the fees were not enough. Now, what are you thinking? Because you're going to touch the space, the moon. And people say the sky is the limit.
Yes,
That's
sir.
a big challenge for you.
It is a big challenge. I'm going to space, not the moon. I'm going to space, and I think my life will change massively. It has already changed now. Look, I'm on Sahara,
That's
so
right.
yeah. So it has changed massively. And to answer your question, I've gone back to school. I'm completing my civil engineering,
Right.
and I'm hoping after completing it, I'm gonna do my trade tests. Afterwards, then I want to be a qualified civil engineer. After being qualified civil engineer, then I'm gonna register what we call aeronautical engineering, and basically expand on the aeronative aerospace world and become a fully proper, studied, qualified astronaut.
Okay, cool. So now people obviously ask because sometimes this whole business of space is a myth to a lot of African people. The closest we've
Yeah.
seen will be through films like Star Trek and Apollo and a few others. Were you one of those kids that grew up watching these kind of films?
I believe most of the time, movies are made out of real life experiences, and some you can see that no, this is a sci-fi, a fiction movie, but some you could see, this is real. Actually, such things do exist. Like, I'm glad you mentioned Apollo 13. That was the first movie I saw about the space war, and ever since then, after watching that movie, I was fascinated by space. And to some extent, we people have different ways of seeing things. With me, I do see that space does exist, and once you're at that level whereby you're orbiting, you get to see the world in this big round ball, which is blue and white. I do believe that also, and yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what movies have shown us.
Okay, cool. So if I'd ask you, what would you take to space? What do you have that you'd think, let me take this with me?
You know, yeah, as we were speaking of earlier offline, you mentioned something. I know I won't be taking that.
I mentioned
I'm
this
gonna,
twala, which is the African traditional staple in South
uh,
Africa. So
yeah,
you're not gonna
no,
cook it up there.
no, I'm not gonna take that. I'm gonna take along with me my South African flag
Right,
and dreams also. I'm gonna take dreams also into space. Young African, South African kids, who have dreams and have that less hope that they might come true. I'm gonna make sure that I take along those dreams along with and prove to them that this for me was a dream also. And look at how it's evolved, it has
right.
grown massively. So yeah, to answer your question, I'll take my South African flag and dreams.
Okay. Mandla, thank you very much for talking to us and obviously congratulations on this new phase. What did the president say to you today? Just to, just for curiosity's sake, what did President Zuma say to you?
You know, the president is proud of me. They are proud of me. The whole South African country, the whole continent. I even got friends from Lagos sending me messages saying that, "Yo, we see you, my man. We're proud of you." Tanzania,
Right.
all over the continent, like they are proud of me, and yeah, I am also proud of myself.
Okay, I know that you're very single. So right here in the studio before we came on air, I was asked by a female fellow worker. She says, "Is he single?" So I said, "Yes, he is." Have you also started to receive those kind of proposals?
You know, as you mentioned, being single, it comes with a whole lot of territories. Yeah, I have received few offers, some throwing themselves at me. But, I am focused on my dream first.
Right.
Let me do this space first, and I'll decide afterwards if I do want to get involved, or do I still want to continue for more bigger things in my life. And then I think I'll start dating at about 3, 4, 5 years maximum.
Okay, great. Mandla, thank you very much for joining us once again. That was Mandla Maseko, who's a 25-year-old South African who actually clinched the winning prize, which is a ticket to fly to space. This is going to happen sometime in 2015. We'll keep checking on his developments, and when he finally does, he also happens to be one of the first black Africans who will be going to space. Sahara TV, I'm Fungai Maboreke. Stay tuned.